Beep, 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 beep. Turn on your computer, dial up the web, download some information into your head. It's Dr. John and Delilah, they're having a great time. That to do with simply true, we're the Sexperts.
And we're recording and intro music, and hi there, welcome to the Sexperts. I am your host, Dr. John T. Alanese, SCPM.
And I'm Delilah. Hey there, sand dune protector.
That's right. You're a superhero of the sand dunes. My hat's off to you, sir, Delilah.
Yep. I decided to make it a priority in my life and lobby for some laws to be changed.
All right, you lobbyer. It's a sexy word. Speaking of sexy words, we are the Sexperts. We are your Sexperts, serving the greater 757 Hampton Roads area. And let's face it, the entire goddamn universe for sex for over 200 years.
Teaching Afghanistan all they need to know about sex.
That's right. Is that a sand thing or?
Hey, now.
Okay.
That's not cool, Dr. John.
Okay. I don't know what you're talking about. But anyways, we're the Sexperts. We're coming to you live every week with a different topic of the week from a different location. Because of the quarantine, we're shelter at home in Virginia. I'm in my recording bunker. Not even my wife is allowed in, and she's in an iron lung, so she's already quarantined herself.
And I'm in my beach home where I have a balcony that I can shoot people off the sand dunes from.
What do you mean shoot them?
I've got a BB gun, but it scares them off.
Okay, good. I don't think you'll ever have a job as a murderer, right?
No.
Okay, good. Thank God, Delilah. So yeah, we're coming to you live with a different topic of the week. I do want to introduce the topic because I want to get to our guest and hear her perspective on the topic. But you've probably heard by now, it was kind of like a craze. We may have just missed it a little bit. It's kind of died down. But there was this documentary on Netflix all about this crazy tiger guy. I forgot. It was his name, Joe Exotic.
I believe so, yes. Joe
Exotic. And really, it was kind of a lopsided thing. There was another owner of exotic animals, Carole Baskin, and I feel like we really need to dive deep into her sex life. And so today's topic of the week is going to be the Pussy Queen, the true story of the sex life of Carole Baskin. Again, it may be a little late, but we'll try our hand at it. But before we get to dive too deep into Carole Baskin, let's get to our lovely guest. Hi there. Welcome.
Hi. Oh, hi. It's so nice to be on with you two.
It is. It's so nice to have you. Why don't you introduce yourself to our audience out there?
Sure. I'm Miranda Hodgkins, and I'm actually a librarian over at the Library of Congress.
Wow. That is, we've had a few librarians, but not as distinguished. I mean, right? Like, you're at the top of the food chain as far as like librarians.
Oh, yeah. It's incredibly prestigious. Not everybody can get there, but people can dream, right?
That's right. Should I call you Ms. Hodgkins or?
Sure. I would prefer you just call me Miranda.
Okay, Miranda. So how do you get to become a librarian for do you audition or do you put in a resume or?
It's a utterly competitive process, to say the least. I mean, first you have to start out at a university for at least 6 years. You have to just put books away. I mean, you need to know the Dewey Decimal System back and forth like the back of your hand. And then after that fact, you have to have at least 6 or 7 recommendations to get into the Library of Congress, just to have a meeting with the dean there.
There's a dean of the Library of Congress? I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, there's one. Okay, so there's one dean, and then there's 86 librarians that are situated throughout the building.
Holy crap. So you're one of 86?
I'm one of 86.
Well, I bet it's even competitive to like keep your job, even when you're one of the 86. Do they rank you? Like, what ranking are you within the 86?
Right. So we're unionized. So we all pay dues to the union. My seniority is, I've been there for quite some time. So I'm at least in the top 20.
Oh, wow. Congrats. That's awesome.
Thanks. It's been very hard. But I'm willing to pay dues to the union because in case I ever get laid off or furloughed or some blip sort of happens, I'm protected.
Yeah. And what's going on over the Library of Congress right now? I mean, I imagine you're closed for business.
We're closed.
Yeah. Okay. So you don't have anybody putting their grubby COVID-filled hands on your books.
No, we do have select people come in. So, for example, right now the CDC is trying to investigate on the 1918 flu pandemic.
That's good.
So we have quite a few people, less than 10, of course, who come in. And so we're self-quarantined in our offices, but we mic the individuals who come in the building so we can actually talk to them over the headset and navigate them through the building, because one of the requirements to be one of the librarians at the Library of Congress is to actually know the building inside and out.
Ooh.
Right. So it's kind of like the test that taxi drivers take in London. So taxi drivers in London, they need to actually map out in their mind the London Underground, so to speak. And they're quizzed based on efficient routing from point A to point B. So similarly, we're quizzed on efficiency of navigating the individual from the door to the right shelf.
This is insane. I knew that you were talented. We wanted to get you on the show, but I didn't. You're almost like an Olympian. Like you have a lot of skills. This is incredible. Thank you so much for being on.
You could imagine how hard it is to read that loopy handwriting dating back, to the 1870s at least.
Okay. Talking about loopy, I do want to get to our topic of the day, and I want to hear your perspective, Miranda. We're talking about.
Yes, I have a strong opinion about this.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the Pussy Queen, which is Carole Baskin. Now, I do want to go.
It never closes. You know, it never closes.
Oh, Delilah, yeah. What never closes?
A damn sand dune.
Yeah, talk more about.
That's 24 hours a day, 7 days. You got to protect the sand dunes so they can protect you.
At the Library of Congress, we actually have quite a bit of literature on sand dunes. Did you know that JFK protected all of Cape Cod? And all of that is national seashore, thanks to him.
Did you know that JFK actually paid poor people to do it?
I did know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
He didn't do it himself.
You guys are having like a dune off.
The working man's been protecting the dunes for years, when it was the rich man that lived next to the dunes, in the rich man's house that was poised to suffer should the dunes give way to the terrible ocean.
It's really interesting, Delilah, because sometimes you have like a really seemingly mundane job, but then there's like a class kind of like war.
Not this. This is everything. Sand dunes are a metaphor for the class struggle that's permeated the Earth's history since the dawn of time.
I don't disagree with you. We're on the same page. I mean, the income disparity between fishermen and the individuals that come from New York and Connecticut to go hang out in the summertime. I mean, sheesh.
You know what they use for sand dunes in India?
What?
Actual people, the untouchables.
The pariahs?
They just stand them right next to the ocean and let the ocean beat on them for hours and days and months and years.
God, the ocean really knows how to beat off the pariahs.
The ocean is a bitch.
Anyways,
I didn't know that. I always thought they were peaceful people, but the world's a big place.
So Miranda, I want to ask you. It's sometimes you read an article that something is introduced into the Library of Congress is really surprising, like really trashy things like, Smash Mouth, the All-Star song. What surprised you that has entered the Library of Congress that you really like? Oh, okay, we're doing this now?
Well, it's the Alabama version of Jersey Shore.
Wait, Jersey Shore, Alabama?
Yeah, it's Jersey Shore, Alabama edition. I thought it was absurd.
Well, yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. Do they bring Alabamians to Jersey or Jersey Shore people to Alabama?
It's just people in Alabama living on the shore of Alabama. So they should have just called it Alabama Shore. But I don't understand. The producer must have been drunk when he named the show.
I think I know who's going to chime in right about now. Delilah, how do you feel about the Alabama shores?
That's where I got my training. It was hot as hell.
Why'd you pick up an accent?
because that's where I was. I lived in Alabama for like 4 years, training to work sand dune protection on a river. Yeah, that's right. That river crested, and the only thing that was there to protect it was me and my sand dune.
Well,
and a BB gun.
I had to watch the whole thing before we could administer it into the Library of Congress. And frankly, I wish they did more dune coverage.
Oh, wow.
We got to keep it on the down low.
Why?
If people knew the kind of chaos you could create by destroying sand dunes, well, the anarchists and the commies would be all over that. It would try to destroy the nation through our sand dunes.
Good Lord. Okay, Delilah, I'm almost done with you, man. You become some kind of extremist.
You know who didn't have sand dunes? New Orleans during Katrina, and you saw how that went.
All right. Okay, listen, let's get back to our guest. Miranda,
they try to do it with the wall.
Okay. All right.
You need sand.
So Miranda, it seems like you spend a lot of your time at the Library of Congress. You're very dedicated. You're in the top 20 out of 86, which is really grand. But let's get to know you a little bit more. What do you do for fun besides, I can't imagine that you actually take your work home with you and like read books, right? Or
I mean, I do love to read. Mm-hmm. I really do. Honestly, I have to say my favorite part of the book, though, isn't necessarily the story. It's the information that the author leads at the beginning. They always dedicate the book to somebody.
Yeah.
And I have to say that's always my favorite part because it really helps me emotionally connect with the writer just from right off the bat.
That makes sense. So sometimes you only read the dedication and the foreword and just, read that one. Next.
Sure, yeah. I mean, every time I go to buy a new book, that's it. That's the first thing that I look at because if they can't even get the dedication right, then why even waste my time?
I agree. And I feel like Delilah is going to chime in with something equally ridiculous.
Well, Dr. John, I know we don't always like to give away our secrets of the trade.
Yeah.
Being the sexperts.
Yeah.
But one thing people don't know about being a sexpert is you get a lifetime membership to the Library of Congress.
Yeah, it's true.
But not the one she works at, Congress as in sexual banging. Sexual Congress.
That's true. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's get to our topic of the day because I think this relates very well. Our topic of the day is the Pussy Queen, Carole Baskin and her sex life. So we got to move on due to time. So we're going to skip losing her virginity and go to her college years where she actually
got a question for the librarian.
Uh-oh.
What do you dress like for Halloween? Because most people dress up as sexy librarians.
So I think that's a wonderful question. I mean, I don't know whether or not I should be perturbed or flattered that people want to dress up like sexy librarians because, knowledge is a very sexy thing. I think being smart is a very attractive quality. And, whether or not people choose to be promiscuous on Halloween, that's none of my business, frankly.
Well,
I wish that the individuals that did dress up did, study a little bit before going out on Halloween. Just sharing some facts at the bar here and there.
Guess what I dressed up like for Halloween?
A sexy sand dunist?
A sand dune. And I stood by the ocean and a dog came to take a dump on me and I murdered him. I murdered the dog and threw him in the ocean.
No.
That's part of protecting the sand dunes is killing the dogs that would otherwise poop on them.
I don't think so, Delilah. I think this is...
Have you ever been trained
in
Alabama to protect sand dunes? You haven't, have you?
You're talking nonsense. You
don't know a goddamn thing about sand dunes, Dr. John. That's not sand dunes certified professional midwife. It's senior certified professional midwife.
I've never murdered a dog, but I did read a book once on how to dissect one.
What?
I never murdered a dog that didn't deserve it.
What? Speaking of dogs, let's get off this topic and get on to the sex life of Carole Baskin, the Pussy Queen. Speaking of dogs, now I gotta say, you guys have a lot in common. Are you single, by the way, Miranda? Are you looking? Because Delilah, I think you guys may hit it off. I don't know.
I mean, I'm physically, I'm single. Emotionally, I'm taken.
Who are you taken by emotionally?
The library. Damn it.
No, it's not the library. I've just, ever since I was a young girl, I've always taken to adore Abraham Lincoln.
Whoa! Oh, so you're in love?
I've always adored Abraham Lincoln. Yes.
You're in love with a dead man.
I am. And it's quite frustrating. I mean, he was a man who taught himself how to read. I mean, how exceptional is that? He was such a good leader. I mean, even though for his time, some of his beliefs they would not really fit in with beliefs today. But for his time, he was a pioneer.
I know. And it's not like you're going to agree on everything. Like, every relationship has its problems. Like, I don't agree with some of my wife Mildred's, ideas. Cause,
do you know what the real cause of the Civil War was?
Jesus Christ.
A lot of people got mistaken notions about the Civil War. It was about sand dunes.
Oh, God. No, it's about...
The North did not appreciate the protective nature of the sand dune. The South wanted to protect the sand dunes. They wanted to institute a sand dune civilian army, but the North wouldn't let them, so they had to succeed.
I'm pretty sure it was a war over the economic disparity
between those who have sand dunes and those who do not.
Those who have, well, if sand dunes is another word for slaves, then yes.
Good Lord. I think I have to change the topic once again. You guys went from killing dogs to slavery. So let's get to something a little more lighthearted. Let's talk about the sex life of Carole Baskin, the pussy queen.
Let's talk about how many beach houses fall into the ocean every year due to unprotected sand dunes.
How many?
A ton.
There's actually quite a few. He's right.
Do you have who has the numbers? I don't believe
up to 10,000.
That's not right. That can't be right.
A beach house falls in the ocean every 5 minutes in season.
Good God.
And the next beach house could be the one that your family's vacationing in. If you don't stand up for sand dune rights and protect our sand dunes, we have a commercial coming out advertising that it's going to feature Sarah McLachlan any day now.
Well, Delilah, if it means anything, I just signed up to donate to the World Wildlife Fund, so I hope that means something to you.
Not a damn thing. The wildlife is part of our problem. They shit on the sand dunes. You need to donate to the World Sand Dune Federation.
The
WSF.
Oh, Miranda. Okay, let's get back to you, Miranda. Delilah is off. He's off the rails. He's got two wheels in the ditches right now.
He's not necessarily unhinged. He's just a very passionate man, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah. See, again, I think you might want to go away from Abraham Lincoln and more towards Delilah. But I am curious, if you were to, let's say we have like a time machine or a reanimation device, and we could have Abraham Lincoln here with you and go on a date. Like, what would you guys do? Like, where would you hang out? Like, what kind of date are you imagining? The perfect date with Abraham Lincoln?
I would love to be by his side at a time that he would make a speech.
Ooh.
Like if he were to make a speech about a strip mall closing, I would love to be there to support him in that.
Now, could you
I'll
also
tell you where they wouldn't go on a date?
Excuse me?
I tell you where you wouldn't go on a date with Abraham Lincoln, and I got 2 words for you: a sand dune, because I'd shoot you in your butt, get you off that sand dune. Walking on sand dunes is one of the worst things that you can do.
Well, I'd have to say that the last thing I would want to happen to Abraham Lincoln is for him to get shot, Delilah.
I'm walking on sand dunes.
Oh, hell no, you're not.
I'm
Oh, hell
walking
no,
on
you're not.
sand dunes.
I'm going to shoot you in your sex butt.
I would really love to just watch him perform that speech and then be the person that he comes to after the fact. And then maybe we'd go for ice cream.
Oh, that sounds sweet. You see, Delilah.
Root beer floats?
Wait, what about ripping his clothes off?
No, root beer floats.
Or root beer floats. Sorry, I thought you said rip his clothes off. All right. Speaking of rip clothes off, I know that's not what you said, but I'm hearing that. And I'm also hearing about, we're going to talk about, the pussy queen. That's Carole Baskin, all of her sex life. Oh my God. I just got an alert on my phone. Oh my God. I think you need to know this, Miranda. The Library of Congress is burning down. It's burning.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sorry. You might want to get on this.
No. There's no way. There's no way that. Oh my God.
Yeah,
My phone was on mute the whole time. Oh my goodness. I've at least 36.
Oh my God. And Delilah, I just got another.
I have to go.
There's another news story. The sand dunes, they're falling apart on the shores of Alabama.
Not on my watch.
All right. Well, I'm sorry for our audience out there. We're going to have to go. Miranda's got to go save the Library of Congress.
I have to go. All the books are burning.
I know. It's like the Library of Alexandria. And Delilah's got to go save the shores of Alabama. That's it for the Sexperts. Any words to put out there before you put out the fires, Miranda?
A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush.
That's really perfect. That's it for the Sexperts. I'm your host, Dr. John T. Alanese, SCPM.
And I'm Delilah. Hey there. And if you got a bird in your hand or two in your bush, I'm going to shoot you in the face to get you off that sand dune.
We'll see you sex time.
And I'm Miranda Hodgkins. And
That's our show. If you like what you heard and you think it was worth $1, join the official Sexperts fan club at patreon.com/Sexperts Podcast. A special thanks to the Push Comedy Theater and all of our supporters. Bye-bye.